There's a video going viral right now. A woman crying in her car because she had to take her sick kid to the doctor alone. Another one sobbing because she can't afford groceries and daycare. A third one having a breakdown because her apartment needs repairs and she doesn't know who to call. These aren't rare stories anymore. They're everywhere. Modern women are discovering something brutal. Real life doesn't care about your independence fantasy. Let me explain why so many women today completely collapse when they face actual adult responsibilities. The pattern is always the same. She leaves a stable situation thinking life will be easier, better, more fun without commitment. Maybe she divorces a decent guy because she's not happy. Maybe she has kids with men who won't commit because she doesn't need a man. Maybe she chooses the party life over building something real. Then reality hits, and suddenly she's making TikToks about how hard everything is. I watched this happen with someone I know personally. She left her husband, good guy, stable job, involved father because she felt trapped and wanted to find herself. 6 months later, she's posting videos about how exhausted she is. The car needs fixing. She doesn't know how. The kid's sick at 2 a.m. She's alone. The bills are piling up. Nobody's helping. That freedom she wanted? It looks a lot like drowning. The real-world responsibilities that hit hardest are the ones that seem simple when someone else handles them. Grocery shopping with 3 kids while one's having a meltdown. Moving furniture when you need to switch apartments. Dealing with landlords, mechanics, contractors who don't take you seriously. Being sick but still having to function because nobody else will pick up the slack. These aren't extraordinary challenges. They're Tuesday. But without support, Tuesday becomes impossible. The independence burden is something nobody talks about honestly. You want to be independent? Great. That means when you're running a fever of 102, you still have to make your kids lunch. When you're emotionally destroyed from a bad day, nobody's there to take over bedtime. When you're exhausted from working, you still have to cook, clean, help with homework, and somehow stay sane. Independence isn't freedom. It's carrying everything yourself. A client told me about his ex-wife's reality check. She'd left him for her independence, moved out with the kids, thought she'd thrive. 3 months in, she calls him crying. The basement flooded. She doesn't know how to shut off the water main. The kids are scared. She's having a panic attack. He had to drive over at midnight to fix it while she sobbed about how hard everything is. The same woman who said she didn't need him. Many single mothers struggle specifically because they chose freedom over discipline. They picked the fun guy over the stable guy. They chose the excitement over the security. They wanted the Instagram life, not the real life. Now they're alone with kids from men who won't commit, won't help, won't even answer the phone. But somehow it's everyone else's fault. The modern emotional display culture is insane. Every struggle becomes a performance. Can't pay rent, make a crying video, kid acting out, film your breakdown, overwhelmed by basic adulting, time for a tearful post about how hard women have it. They've learned that public emotional display gets attention, sympathy, maybe even money, but it doesn't solve the actual problems. I saw a video yesterday, woman sobbing because she had to put her kids in daycare to work, but daycare costs almost what she makes. Valid problem, sure. But you know who else faces this? Single fathers. They just handle it without the camera. They work nights, find family help, make arrangements. No crying videos, no GoFundMe, just solutions. These women drastically underestimate how much structure men provided. Not just money, structure discipline for the kids, consistency and rules, the ability to be the bad guy when necessary. Without it, their houses become chaos. Kids running wild because mum can't enforce boundaries. No bedtimes because she's too tired to fight. No consequences because she needs them to like her. A teacher friend tells me the pattern is obvious in schools. Kids from single mother homes, especially where dad isn't involved, show up tired, hungry, unprepared. Not because mum doesn't care, but because she's overwhelmed, she can't maintain structure alone. The kids suffer academically, socially, emotionally. But pointing this out is apparently shaming single mothers. These same women want male-style commitment without giving male-style loyalty. They want some man to show up and be a father figure, fix things, provide stability, but they don't want to commit to him. They want the benefits of a husband without being a wife. They want male investment without female reciprocation. Then they're shocked when men won't sign up for this deal. The emotional oversensitivity makes everything worse. Modern women have been taught that their feelings are valid, important, and should be honoured. So every frustration becomes a crisis. Every challenge becomes trauma. Every normal life pressure becomes unbearable suffering. They're so focused on how they feel that they can't focus on what needs to be done. I watched a woman have a complete meltdown at a tyre shop because they couldn't fix her flat immediately. Crying, calling people, posting about it online. An hour of drama over a 2-hour wait. A man in the same situation. He'd grab a coffee and handle some emails. The emotional energy she wasted could have solved 3 other problems. The poor personal habits make everything exponentially harder. No budget, so money's always a crisis. No discipline, so health becomes an issue. No routine, so every day is chaos. No planning, so everything's an emergency. They live in reaction mode, constantly putting out fires. They started through neglect. A woman I know complains constantly about being broke. I've seen her spend $200 on nails and hair, $100 on DoorDash in a week, buy clothes she doesn't need. Then rent's due and it's a crisis. She needs help. She's a victim of the economy. Being a single mum is so hard. No, you're bad with money and expect others to compensate for it. The accountability allergy is incredible. Everything is someone else's fault. The ex who won't help, who she pushed away. The job that doesn't pay enough, that she chose. The family that won't babysit, that she alienated. The government that won't give more support, that already subsidizes her life. Everyone's failing her except the one person who could fix it. Her, the children absolutely pay the price for these choices. They're dealing with stressed, overwhelmed, emotionally unstable mothers. They're experiencing inconsistent discipline, rotating male figures, financial instability. They're growing up in chaos and being told it's normal. Little boys with no male guidance. Little girls learning that this is what womanhood looks like. I see these kids in my practice. Anxious, confused, parentified too young. The 8-year-old who has to be mum's emotional support. The 10-year-old who's basically raising younger siblings. The teenager who's more mature than their mother. They're robbed of childhood because mum can't handle adulthood. The abandonment of stable families is epidemic. Women are walking away from functioning marriages at unprecedented rates. Not because of abuse, not because of neglect, but because of feelings, I'm not happy. I need to find myself. I deserve better. They're trading stability for a fantasy, then discovering the fantasy doesn't pay bills or raise children. The statistics are damning. 70% of divorces are initiated by women. In college-educated couples, it's 90%. They're not leaving bad situations. They're leaving good situations that don't feel exciting anymore. Trading a functional family for Instagram freedom, then wondering why everything falls apart. Meanwhile, men facing similar struggles get zero sympathy. Single father working 2 jobs to pay child support and rent? Nobody cares. Man struggling to see his kids while paying for their entire lifestyle? Silence. Guy managing everything alone after his wife left? He should man up. The same society that coddles struggling women ignores struggling men. The double standard is breathtaking. Woman posts about being overwhelmed. Thousands of supportive comments, offers of help. Maybe a GoFundMe man posts the same thing. He's weak, pathetic, needs to handle his business. We've created a culture where female struggle is currency and male struggle is shame. These modern women want the benefits of a man without the commitment. They want someone to fix the car, kill the spider, carry the heavy stuff, pay for things. But don't you dare expect dinner or loyalty or respect in return. They want a servant, not a partner. Then they wonder why quality men aren't interested. I know a woman who regularly calls her ex-husband for help. Fix the sink, mow the lawn, pick up the kids when she's overwhelmed. But when he suggested getting back together, I need my independence. She literally wants him to do husband duties while she dates other men. The entitlement is staggering. Modern society rewards emotional expression over accountability. The woman crying on social media gets sympathy, support, resources. The woman quietly handling her business gets nothing. So guess which behaviour gets reinforced? Public breakdown becomes a strategy, not genuine emotion. The preparation gap is real. Boys are raised knowing they'll have to handle things. They learn to fix, build, solve, endure. Girls are raised being told they're perfect as they are. They're not taught resilience, problem-solving, emotional regulation. Then real life arrives and they're completely unprepared. A perfect example: car trouble. A man's car breaks down, he knows the basics. Check the battery, call AAA, get it to a shop, arrange alternative transportation. A woman's car breaks down, it's often complete panic. Crying, calling everyone, posting about it, but no actual problem solving. Because nobody taught her how the emotional fragility makes them unable to handle basic criticism or feedback. Tell a modern woman she needs to improve something, and she falls apart. It's mean, abusive, toxic. They can't differentiate between helpful feedback and personal attack. So they never improve, never grow, never develop resilience. I had a female employee once who cried every time I gave her constructive feedback. Not harsh criticism, basic job coaching. This report needs more detail, sent her to the bathroom in tears. Eventually, I stopped giving feedback. Her performance never improved. She was eventually let go and blamed everyone but herself. The unrealistic expectations about life set them up for failure. They think being an adult should be easy, fun, fulfilling all the time. When it's actually hard work, sacrifice and routine, they can't cope. They're looking for the Instagram version of adulthood, not the real thing. Social media makes this worse. They see other women's highlight reels and think that's normal. Why isn't my life that easy? Why don't I look that happy? Why is everything so hard for me? They don't realise everyone's struggling. Some people just don't broadcast it. The collapse pattern is predictable. First comes the freedom phase. I don't need anyone. Then reality phase. This is harder than expected. Then panic phase. I can't do this alone. Then victim phase. Why won't anyone help me? Finally, the blame phase. This is everyone's fault but mine. The modern woman's inability to handle real life isn't about capability. It's about preparation and expectation. They could handle it if they were taught to, if they expected it to be hard, if they developed discipline and resilience. But they weren't. They don't. And they didn't. Here's what's really tragic. Some of these women had good situations they threw away decent men who loved them. Stable homes, support systems. But they wanted more, better, different. They bought the you deserve it all lie and ended up with nothing but struggle and regret. A client's ex-wife is a perfect example. Had everything, nice house, loving husband, healthy kids, didn't have to work. Left because she wasn't fulfilled. Now she's in a 2-bedroom apartment, working retail, kids are struggling, posting constantly about how hard single motherhood is. She had it all and threw it away for a feeling. The impact on male structure in households can't be overstated. When dad's not there, everything shifts. Mum becomes friend instead of parent. Discipline becomes negotiation. Rules become suggestions. The natural authority that fathers bring, not through force but through presence, vanishes, and the household descends into emotional chaos. I've watched this transformation happen. Strong, capable women who maintained perfect homes while married suddenly can't keep basic order alone, not because they became less capable, but because they lost the structural support that made everything else possible. It's like removing a wall from a house and wondering why the roof is sagging. The expectation of male-style commitment without reciprocation is delusional. They want men to show up like fathers, providers, protectors, but without the respect, authority, or appreciation those roles traditionally received. They want the utility of masculinity while denying its value. Men are waking up to this scam. The children watching this learn the wrong lessons. Boys learn that men are disposable, that their role is to serve without reciprocation. Girls learn that struggle is currency, that accountability is optional, that emotions excuse everything. We're raising a generation programmed for dysfunction. The male response to this is increasingly to just walk away. Why commit to someone who won't reciprocate? Why invest in someone who'll leave when things get tough? Why build with someone who can't handle basic life? Men are checking out, and honestly, who can blame them? The competent women who can handle life suffer from this too. They get lumped in with the ones who can't. Men approach them with suspicion, waiting for the breakdown, the drama, the inability to cope. The functional women pay for the dysfunctional one's reputation. I know several genuinely capable women who can't find partners because men are gun-shy. These women handle their business, don't create drama, take responsibility for their choices, but they're swimming in a dating pool poisoned by the ones who cry on TikTok about how hard adulting is. The real world doesn't pause for your emotional breakdown. Bills still come due, kids still need food, work still expects you to show up, the car still needs gas, the house still needs cleaning. Reality is relentless, and it doesn't care about your feelings or your victim narrative. The solution starts with honest conversation about reality. Life is hard. Independence has a cost. Choices have consequences. Feelings don't excuse failures. Structure matters. Discipline matters. Partnership requires reciprocation. These aren't controversial statements. They're facts that modern culture refuses to acknowledge. The preparation needs to change. Girls need to learn practical skills, emotional regulation, problem solving. They need to understand that life won't cater to their feelings. They need to develop resilience, accountability, and realistic expectations. Otherwise, we're setting them up for the same collapse. For the men watching, recognize the patterns early. If she can't handle minor inconveniences without melting down, she won't handle major challenges. If she blames everyone else for her problems, she'll blame you too. If she wants support without reciprocation, you're not a partner. You're a utility. The harsh reality is that modern life requires competence, resilience, and accountability. Those who have these qualities thrive, those who don't collapse. And no amount of crying on social media, blaming others, or demanding support will change that fundamental equation. The women who figure this out transform their lives. They stop waiting for rescue and start solving problems. They stop broadcasting struggle and start building strength. They stop blaming others and start taking responsibility. And suddenly, mysteriously, their lives improve. I've seen it happen. Women who hit rock bottom realized the victim strategy wasn't working and changed, developed discipline, took accountability, built resilience. Their kids stabilized, their finances improved, their stress decreased. Not because life got easier, but because they got stronger. But most won't make this shift. They're too invested in the victim narrative, too comfortable with the sympathy, too afraid of the accountability. So they'll keep crying on social media, keep blaming everyone else, keep wondering why life is so hard while refusing to see the obvious answer. The generational damage this causes is immense. Boys growing up without fathers, seeing their mothers collapse under normal pressure. Girls growing up thinking this is normal, that adulting is impossible, that accountability is optional. We're creating a society of perpetual children who can't handle basic reality. The contrast with previous generations is stark. Our grandmothers raised 6 kids without dishwashers, dealt with real hardship without complaint, handled whatever life threw at them. Modern women can't handle 1 kid and a full-time job with all modern conveniences. The difference isn't capability, it's conditioning. The social media validation cycle makes it worse. Post about struggle, get sympathy. Post about success, get ignored. The incentive structure rewards broadcasting failure and punishes quietly succeeding. So guess what behavior increases? The physical exhaustion excuse is particularly rich. I'm so tired from doing everything alone. Your grandmother did twice as much with none of the technology. Washing machines, dishwashers, microwaves, online shopping, grocery delivery. You have every convenience imaginable. You're not physically exhausted, you're emotionally undisciplined. The daily responsibilities that break them are laughably basic. Pack lunches, drop kids at school, work, pick up kids, make dinner, bedtime. This is standard adulting that billions of people manage daily without public meltdowns. But for modern women, it's apparently equivalent to climbing Everest. Men need to understand this dynamic to protect themselves. The woman crying about how hard life is won't magically become competent in a relationship. The one who can't handle basic adulting won't suddenly develop skills because you're there. You can't save someone from their own refusal to grow. The competent women need to distance themselves from the incompetent ones. Stop making excuses for them. Stop validating their victim narratives. Start calling out the difference between genuine hardship and self-created drama, because your silence makes you complicit in the degradation of female capability. The children deserve better than mothers who can't handle basic life. They deserve stability, structure, competent caregiving, not TikTok breakdowns and emotional chaos, not victim narratives and accountability avoidance, not watching their mother collapse under normal adult pressure. The harsh truth is that modern women can't handle real life because they weren't prepared for it, don't expect it, and won't accept it. They're waiting for life to get easier instead of getting stronger. They're broadcasting struggle instead of building resilience. They're blaming everyone else instead of taking responsibility. The emotional stress they claim is overwhelming is largely self-created. They manufacture drama, seek conflict, create chaos, then complain about the stress. A peaceful life is available to anyone who chooses it, but that doesn't generate sympathy or attention. So they choose chaos and blame the world. The solution exists but requires admitting uncomfortable truths. That traditional structures had value, that discipline matters, that accountability isn't optional, that feelings don't excuse failure, that independence has a cost, that partnership requires reciprocation, that life owes you nothing. Until modern women accept these realities, they'll continue collapsing under normal life pressure. They'll continue crying on social media about basic challenges. They'll continue wondering why everything's so hard while refusing to develop the skills to handle it. The men who understand this can make better choices. Partner with competent women who handle reality. Avoid the ones who broadcast dysfunction. Recognize that you can't save someone from their own refusal to grow. Protect yourself from becoming another resource for someone who won't reciprocate. The future belongs to those who can handle reality, who develop competence, resilience, and accountability, who solve problems instead of broadcasting them, who take responsibility instead of assigning blame, who build strength instead of seeking sympathy. Modern women's inability to handle real life isn't a mystery. It's the predictable result of unrealistic expectations, absent accountability, and rewarded dysfunction. The question isn't why they can't handle it, it's why we pretend to be surprised when they can't. Every crying video, every victim post, every blame narrative is evidence of the same thing. A generation of women who weren't prepared for adult reality and refused to adapt to it. They're drowning in 6 inches of water while refusing to stand up. The competent ones, the resilient ones, the accountable ones, they're out there, but they're increasingly rare in a culture that rewards dysfunction and punishes capability, that celebrates struggle and ignores success, that validates feelings and dismisses facts. Men are adjusting their expectations accordingly. The fantasy of the capable partner is dying, replaced by recognition of widespread incompetence. The smart ones are screening harder, demanding proof of capability, refusing to subsidize dysfunction. The cycle continues until something forces change. Either reality becomes undeniable, or society collapses under the weight of incompetence. Either women develop resilience or they're replaced by those who have it. Natural selection doesn't care about your feelings. The truth modern women can't handle isn't that life is hard, it's that they're soft. Not physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They've been protected from consequence, shielded from difficulty, validated in dysfunction. Now reality arrives, and they shatter like glass. But admitting this would require the accountability they've spent their lives avoiding. So they'll keep crying on social media, keep blaming everyone else, keep wondering why life's so hard. While those who accept reality, develop strength, and take responsibility build the lives they claim to want. I want to hear from you. What examples have you seen of this collapse? What happens when modern women face real challenges? Have you watched someone throw away stability for freedom only to drown in responsibility? Share your observations below. Let's document this reality that everyone sees but nobody's supposed to discuss.